I hope everybody is doing well. Today, I want to talk about something that I believe is very important for middle management. But before that, I just want to remind you the purpose of this video is to encourage you with challenging ideas to get better. When you get better, everybody wins around you, your family, your neighborhood is better. The world just a little better because you are getting better. Now, to get better, you have to challenge yourself. You have to do things that sometimes things that can be uncomfortable. For some people, can be very difficult to make decisions, for example. But when you start doing it and you realize that it's not as bad as you telling yourself in your head, you can get better. So let's keep getting better. Let's keep growing. So today I want to talk about leadership and the role of the manager. So this is what's going on. A lot of times, like last week, I talked about communication, how the leader is responsible for communication. If you didn't listen to that podcast, you can go back and listen about that. But this is the thing. Yeah, communication is great. And sometimes the leader who is above everybody else, it can be very good at it. Very good communicator, great at the way he communicates things and explain things and things are clear, etc. But what happened is that a lot of time we do that and we don't pay attention to the middle management, the person who's in between, the person who actually is doing the work, is the person who is dealing with the everyday, and we don't help them to communicate as well. We expect they will communicate as well, and a lot of times that doesn't happen. So today I want to talk about a few things that middle management should be doing, and I call this leadership and the role of the manager, to try to explain few things that I believe, if you're right there in that place in middle management when it can be difficult, you're receiving all this information, you have to pass it to the rest of the team, cascade down. I want to share this to try to clarify and help you. If nobody have done it, hopefully this video will clarify it for you. So, leadership and the role of the manager. What is the first thing a manager does? And I'm gonna explain each one because I'm very against some of the things that management bring. You hear a lot of people saying things like fire the manager, become a leader, and I get what they're trying to say, but the reality is that some people have the title of manager and there's something they need to manage. So you cannot just say, well, I just fire the manager, I'm just the leader. I remember this movie where the guy said it was somebody in leadership and said, I was hired to lead, not to read. And if you know the movie, let me know. I'm not going to mention one movie, but this is the thing. This thing as a manager, they need to happen anyway. And one of the things have to do with enforcing the boundaries. As a manager, you're called to enforce the boundaries. And I'm not talking about making sure that everybody fall in line. That's why I'm calling it boundaries. I'm against policies. I'm personally against a lot of rules because sometimes when you have all that, you stop innovation. When you have so many rules and how things are done and all that stuff, you eliminate innovation. Now, some procedures need to be done with some rules. If you work in finances, you cannot start making up accounting. That you cannot you cannot use your imagination too much for accounting. So you have to be careful. So I'm talking about boundaries. So as a manager, you are somebody who is enforcing the boundaries of the company, the culture, what's going on. In other words, you are the monitor, the person who's monitoring all the things, watching the things happen. So it's very important for you to understand that you are that link of information to maybe superiors, upper management or leadership. They need to know really what's going on. Sometimes the leader is so far away in la la land doing their thing, which is great, and so out of touch with what is happening with the work and the reality. And if they don't have anybody who really remind them how things are, they can just live in la la land and see numbers and be happy, and everybody's suffering. So you have to remember, if you're in that middle management, you're the manager, you're the team lead, you're a new director, you are in that place to enforce the boundaries. In other words, you're the person who's monitoring, checking that everything is happening, that everything is as good as the leader is saying. It's very important to remember that you have to, it's not that you're spying on people, but you're the one who if is feeling how things are going. You're the one who know really things are working, if the information is moving, if the communication is happening. Again, we can put all these posters on the wall, we can do all the things, but you're the only one who can say this is working. So as manager, you have to know you will be enforcing boundaries and making sure the things are happening as is expected. And you're the one who have to communicate when this is not happening. As a manager, you also have to be creating boundaries. And again, no policies, no rules, no all of that. You're the one who have to be making decisions about how the work get done, how we can get effective, we can be effective. And again, boundaries, so we don't go beyond something that can be illegal, for example, or maybe boundaries that are going against our culture, the culture of the company, the culture of how we're trying to do things. So, but you have to create these things. However, you become this negotiator. You negotiate these boundaries with people and see how they're gonna take it, and you share them, and eventually you get to a place where, yeah, this is what it is. We all agree. And again, I'm not talking about democracy, because you have to make a decision at the end of the day. Not like, hey, everybody raise your hands, everybody agree. No, there's no democracies in companies, in ministries. That's the worst thing that you can try to do. But you need to be some type of negotiator. You have to be negotiating with people, creating these boundaries so you can retain good talent, you can retain good people, you can kind of kick out bad people because they're not following these things. So you have to negotiate these boundaries and be involved in it, and be in charge. So you're not only enforcing boundaries and being the monitor of these boundaries, what is happening, but also you're creating boundaries. And again, using the word boundaries, I want to stay away from rules and policies. And when you creating these boundaries, you becoming a negotiator with the teams, with the departments. Again, because if you don't do this, you're the one suffering. I mean, the person who is in that la la land of leadership, they're not dealing with every employee every day. They don't have to deal with these situations. So if you're not doing this and you expect that everybody gonna follow whatever is said, that's not reality. That's not how it goes. So you have to be negotiating. You have to be checking, and you have to be right away. This for you to not only making decision, but also to be informing to upper management how things are. This is key. You communicate unity. So the leader comes, the leader show up, big meeting, everybody's there, and this is our vision, and this is how we're gonna do it. Big word, big speech, big everything, and everybody's like, wow, wow, wow. People walk away from the room. Nobody remember anything. One person heard one thing. Somebody else heard something else. I have been in those meetings, and it's hilarious how people, something that was said black and white, for somebody become like a red color. So what the manager does, the middle management, they communicate unity. They have to be so aware of the message, of the mission, of how you're gonna do it, or what are you doing, or why you're doing it in your company. They have to be so aware so they can communicate it in the same tone. Some people call it this cascade, communication, that the leader say one thing and then the middle management repeat the same thing or translate it the same way to the rest of the teams. A lot of times, and sadly happen in some places, you will have the big speech, we're gonna do it this way, we're gonna do it this way. People walk out of the room, they have all these questions, and the manager, instead to stay with the message and unity, they criticize the message, or they get in the size of someone that he's criticizing the message. That's the worst thing that can happen. You, as a manager, as a middle management, you have to enforce the message, repeat the message, and in unity. That's your job. That's the role of the manager. That's why you're there. So you may disagree with the message. You may disagree with what is being said. Doesn't matter. That's not your job. And probably, hopefully, if you're in a healthy place, you can share your disagreement with the person who is, communicating the direction, all that stuff. There can be conversation. All that is great. But if not, you still got to communicate the right thing and maintain the unity. Now, some manager will say, well, How are you gonna do that? Because nobody listened to me. Listen, someday you will be in that upper management, and the thing that you will probably hate more than anything is to have middle management saying something different than what you're saying. Now, if you're in middle management and you constantly do that, you hear that message from the boss, the big meeting and all those conversations, and then you go to your groups and saying a different message. Let me tell you, you are a disgrace for leadership. You should walk away. Even if you don't like the message, you should keep it, because you're the one communicating, gonna keep that unity among your teams. So if you're in a place where right now you communicating different things, the boss is saying, we're gonna do this, we're gonna go to the stars, and then you go to your team and say, hey, this guy said this, but let's just keep doing whatever we want. If you're doing that, you're a disgrace. You shouldn't be in leadership. Shame on you. You, as a manager, you're responsible to communicate and maintain unity. Now, related to the same thing, as a manager, you have to repeat the message. So not only you're a disseminator of the message, not only you sharing the message they come from the boss or the leadership, you not only just spreading the message, you also the one who have to be repeating it. Because how many times an employee get to talk with the CEO? How many times the employee have to get to talk with the president of the company? Maybe not many times, especially if it's a big company. So you as a middle management or manager, you are responsible to be repeating the message. You can say, well, the boss said it once, it's up to him. No, we talked last week that the leader have to be repeating this message all the time. But you as a middle management, as a leader as well, you should be repeating this all the time too. The message, the mission, the why we do it, where we do it, and all that stuff. And the culture, you are responsible. People will listen more to you than the big message from the boss. People will listen more to you because you are right there. Probably they trust you more. So if you are the one that should be repeating the message, and should be part of your job, part of your job description or your everyday task to be repeating these things according to what is being said. Again, remember that cascade communication. You keep repeating the same thing, and people listen to you probably more than what they listen to the boss, because sometimes the boss can be completely not out of touch, but too far or removed from the situations. And finally, manager. This is probably the most important thing. I know you may be middle management, but if you don't learn this, you're never gonna be a good manager. You are 100% responsible. Not the CEO, not the president of the company, not the person in the corner office. You are. You as a manager need to remember that you are 100% responsible all the time. If you're a manager, again, you are blaming others, or you're a manager, they're not making decisions or not taking actions to accomplish what you have been called to accomplish. If you're a Christian, you believe that this place that you have been put to lead has been given by God. You have been put as a manager, director by God to do something. So if you don't believe and you constantly need to go for approval to this person, to that person, to that person, you're not doing your job. You have to take the responsibility, be 100% responsible all the time, and make decisions. Sometimes you're gonna be wrong. So what? That's how you learn. So as a manager, if you don't move, listen, you're gonna have a team who's frustrated if you're not making decisions, because you cannot wait every time for the CEO and come make decisions for you about things that you should be making decisions and creating the boundaries that you should be creating, when the boss cannot do it. They have their own work. And yes, especially as a big company, that probably won't happen. So you as a manager should be making decisions according to the culture, according to the boundaries. If the company have policy, well, according to the policies. But you as a manager are 100% responsible. So if your team is not working well, you cannot blame the CEO, you cannot blame the president, you cannot blame a board of directors, you cannot blame that. It's you. You're the problem. So as a manager, you're 100% responsible all the time. The best word to describe this is an owner. The way I like to work with people who is leading under me, I usually tell them, listen, this is how it works. I'm the investor, I'm investing in you, I trust in you, and I'm giving you this little company. That's how I explain it. And this little company is for you to run. And this is what this little company need to achieve. How you achieve it, I will help you, but it's your job to figure out. And if you have worked with me, you know that I do that. And it's very important to understand that ownership. So the role of the manager, I'm gonna repeat it: leadership and the role of the manager. First, you have to be enforcing boundaries. If the company have policies, you're enforcing policies, all that stuff. You're the monitor. You're the person who can check and see how things are. Creating boundaries. You're the negotiator. You're negotiating these different things that need to be created to be able to function. You are doing all the things. Communicating unity. You're the one who's communicating to the floor, to the people, to your employees, not the CEO with the big message, because a lot of times that message gets lost. So you're the one who disseminate the communication. And you're the one in charge of the repetition. You got to see yourself as the spokesperson. You're the spokesperson you're the one who's sharing the evangelizing the company. The CEO can say, I have a great speech, but at the end of the day, are those boots on the ground? They're doing the evangelizing of the company, and that's you. You're the one who have to be repeating the message constantly. And finally, you're 100% responsible. Never forget. If you're a manager, own that little space that you have been given. And maybe you think, well, this is not too big. I'm responsible for 2 people. I'm responsible for a small project. Doesn't matter. Be faithful with what you have been given. Do all these things and wait for God for the next step. But be faithful and be responsible. Make decisions. I hope this helped you. This video helped you. If you have questions, email me chasinggrowth at gmail.com. And it's chasinggrowth with 1G, chasinggrowth 1G at gmail.com. And you can email me and I will answer. So I hope this bless you, help you to grow and get better. And I will see you next week with another video on leadership and growth. Thank you guys. God bless you. Ciao.